Lowering Elden Ring's difficulty would attract more players, but would also break the game itself, says director Hidetaka Miyazaki. Sony accidentally leaks unannounced Helldivers 2 strategem. Diablo 4 Season 5 is getting a Vampire Survivors-inspired game mode, and more. From Software's Soulsborne games are notoriously difficult to beat. But director Hidetaka Miyazaki has said it would break the game itself to turn down the challenge. In an interview with The Guardian, Miyazaki discussed how high difficulty is not only creatively part of the game, but also has led to its success. If we really wanted the whole world to play the game, we could just crank the difficulty down more and more. But that wasn't the right approach, he said. Had we taken that approach, I don't think the game would have done what it did, because the sense of achievement that players gain from overcoming these hurdles is such a fundamental part of the experience. Turning down difficulty would strip the game of that joy, which in my eyes would break the game itself. Of course, difficulty is subjective, and Elden Ring's new expansion Shadow of the Erdtree does not add any further accessibility options to the game. We wanted to provide these challenging encounters and these menacing threats, and in order to do that, we wanted to give the player a lot of freedom of approach, he said. We wanted them to feel free in how they choose and when they choose to approach and tackle these hardships. So players who look for that sort of challenge in our games will find a challenge on equal footing in the DLC as well. It's true that this distinct type of FromSoft engineered frustration is an indispensable part of the Souls experience. To hurl yourself repeatedly against a seemingly immovable object until through sheer luck and serendipitous timing you somehow prevail, it reads. There is real palpable joy and pride and relief in that. We've all felt it, and with the blessing of hindsight, suddenly all of that failure feels like it was worth it. In other cases, they're genuinely instructional with real lessons learned. This, however, feels like difficulty for difficulty's sake turned up to 11, perhaps because with the added expectations of a DLC having something extra absurd to conquer, even though it technically doesn't require finishing the core game. An unannounced Helldivers 2 stratagem has leaked online, seemingly by a Sony email. The unforced error, which came via an official marketing email sent out to Helldivers, proudly introduces the airburst rocket launcher players unlocked after they successfully liberated Penta during Operation Legitimate Undertaking. There's just one problem. The weapon in the image that accompanies the email isn't the airburst, or indeed any weapon currently in the game. It's a gun no Helldiver has seen before. Without spoiling it further here, the weapon doesn't yet exist in-game, leading many people to believe it's either a planned, sneaky tease of what's to come or a mistake. I'll leave you to decide which. It's the latest in a litany of errors from Sony, starting with the infamous PSN debacle that kicked off earlier this year. At the start of May, Helldivers 2 publisher Sony announced players on Steam would soon be required to link a PlayStation Network PSN account to keep playing. This not only resulted in swaths of negative reviews from a very disappointed community, but the game was also pulled from sale in 177 countries where PSN was not available, forcing Sony to backtrack on its plans. Perhaps as a consequence of this, Helldivers 2, which is PlayStation's fastest-selling game ever, has recently seen its player numbers decline. A look at the game's Steam charts shows a steady drop since February, when the game launched. According to SteamDB, at its peak in February, shortly after launch, there were 458,709 concurrent players. In the last 24 hours, the game had a peak of 53. EA Sports has published the official reveal trailer for Madden 25. The video shows off some of what to expect from this year's entry in the long-running professional football series. And there are quite a few improvements and changes on the way. In particular, the video spotlights the so-called boom tech system that promises improvements to physics-based tackling, along with some of the new catch mechanics that could lead to some pretty impressive catches. Here's the trailer, which EA says is made up of game engine footage. There are lots of changes and updates in Madden 25, including new commentators. Madden 25 is one of 2 American football games that EA Sports has coming out this year, as the company is releasing EA Sports College Football 25, its first new entry in the series in a decade, in July. Madden 25 follows in August, and people can buy the MVP bundle, $150, to get both games in one package. Microsoft has just addressed Black Myth, Wukong's delay on Xbox Series XS, issuing a brief statement on the matter on Friday. We're excited for the launch of Black Myth Wukong on Xbox Series X Vertical Bar S and are working with Game Science to bring the game to our platforms, a Microsoft spokesperson said in a statement, first reported by Windows Central and also obtained by IGN. We can't comment on the deals made by our partners with other platform holders, but we remain focused on making Xbox the best platform for gamers, and great games are at the center of that. Back at the Game Awards 2023, developer Game Science announced an August 20th, 2024 release date for Black Myth, Wukong for PS5, Xbox Series XS, and PC. Earlier this month, however, its Summer Game Fest trailer omitted mention of an Xbox Series XS version. Black Myth, Wukong still doesn't have an Xbox Series XS release date. Black Myth, Wukong still doesn't have an Xbox Series XS release date. In an FAQ, Game Science confirmed that Black Myth, Wukong's release on Xbox Series XS would indeed come after its August 20th launch on PlayStation 5 and PC. At the time, Game Science pointed to optimization on the Xbox as the reason for the delay. We are currently optimizing the Xbox Series X Vertical Bar S version to meet our quality standards, so it won't release simultaneously with the other platforms, the developer wrote. We apologize for the delay and aim to minimize the wait for Xbox users. We will announce the release date as soon as it meets our quality standards. Diablo 4 Season 5 will introduce a new Vampire Survivors-inspired roguelite game mode on August 6th, where players will face off against waves of enemies while selecting boons and banes between each wave. In the latest Diablo 4 campfire chat, Blizzard revealed players are going back to Hell for Season 5, where the new Infernal Hordes activity will take place. The mode is focused on delivering a density of monsters, Blizzard said, where players will battle against huge waves of enemies. Between waves, players will select a boon and a bane that will persist for the rest of the run, with boons granting players powerful buffs while banes will grant negative effects. Surviving enough waves will culminate in a boss encounter against members of the Fell Council, resurrected versions of enemies players may remember from Diablo 2. Blizzard is promising some pretty lucrative rewards for Infernal Hordes, which will be accessible starting in World Tier 3 and will have a total of 8 difficulties to choose from. Over the course of a run, players will earn a currency used to unlock rewards from various chests at the end. In addition to new unique items that will be earnable only from the activity, players will be able to open a chest that has a 100% chance to drop an item with 1 greater affix. Infernal Hordes will also be a great way to earn gold, Blizzard said, something that is currently harder to come by and very much needed thanks to the changes made as part of the game's well-received Loot Reborn update, which requires large amounts of gold to be used for all its various gear upgrading systems. Infernal Hordes will additionally be another way to earn masterworking materials, something that can currently only be earned from the pit. Despite having previously made no promises about future seasons have a public test realm, Season 5 will have a PTR, and it will begin on June 25th. Other changes coming as part of Season 5 will include buffs to unique items, class balance changes, and more. Season 5 will be shorter than previous seasons, lasting for around 2 months instead of the usual 3. It will end with the release of Diablo 4's first expansion, Vessel of Hatred, and the start of Season 6 on October 8th.